rock the world with music. Give Jah creation this love. Na, na, na.
My enemies' walls are bound to crumble, and to the floor their spears will fall. I've been made and sealed with love, but time to battle, I'll find them all. I felt the whips and remember chains, but my sword has been forged by my father's flames. Fight your fears and heal your pain, and victory will be in your name.
I used to be weak, but I'm not weak no more. I found the strength of my ancestors deep down in my African core. I used to be frightened, I'm not afraid no more. The Father blessed me with the heart of a lion and a warrior soul. So no weapon that form against I shall not prevail, and no man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. 'Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer them. Yeah. Tell them no retreat, no surrender. I shall fight till the end of days. I was born as a Makai warrior, and the Almighty God my blade. Fire burn all Satan carrier. Father loose all shackles and chain. This morning first thing as I wake up, King David turned Sam to the brain. Don't let your courage go down, keep it up. And if your heart rip up and stitch it up, don't let your faith them fall, pick it up. When my cup was empty, God fill it up. Don't take the devil contract, rip it up. And if your bad mind people to go meet it up, pass me the Congo drum and let me beat it up. God on my side, me no give it up. So no weapon that form against I shall not prevail. And no man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. 'Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer them.
Thank you, Father. I want to say thank you, Lord. You are everything, Father. Thank you.
Father, you alone shall guide me. No man shall lead my path. In the wind I hear your quiet whispers, and you heal my broken heart. Even some of my friends turn enemies, and they pray for right to feel. And remember you gave us your only begotten son, but we gave him the wound of love. Send down your warriors with the hello. They carry down to the end of days. No matter how the devil try trick me, unto you my soul I will give. Father, I know this time is coming. I can see the high tide raise. Without you there is no other. Could there be that we decide?
No weapon that form against I shall not prevail. And no man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. 'Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer, yes I will conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer, rise up and conquer them.
I am a man. I am a champion. I am a warrior. So who are you to tell me that I cannot make? Who are you to tell me that I am not the greatest thing that God ever created?
Good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on 97.5 CitysoundFM, 89.5 CRFM, 91.9 and 91.5 RealFM Radio, 92.9, which is Sister Al Radio out there in Hillsborough, Carriacou, and 94.9 We Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn, New York. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on the live media streams, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you are joining us. A very special good morning to you. It is a beautiful Monday morning in the Spice Isle of Grenada. And next to me in studio, with me in studio, I have none other than my co-host, Mr. Roland Bola. Good morning, Senator Bola.
Good morning to you, Ms. Duncan. Good morning to all our listeners out there. It's a very nice Monday morning. It was not too warm on my way down. A little bit overcast. Up in my neck of the woods, we had some rain. It was about 3 o'clock there about this morning. Pretty nice shower. But it has not rained since, but a little overcast. The sun was not out in its bountiful glory like it was over the weekend. And that is good too. While we are in a dry spell, it is good that we can get some little rain in between. I think the plants will be really happy for that. Nature, will be all the better for that. I really hope that, everyone out there, those who are tuned in and those who will tune in pretty soon, did have a peaceful and well-spent weekend, and that you're in the frame of mind that will cause your week to go good, because, whatever one think it, sometimes one can materialize it. I think there's a passage of scripture that speaks about whatever a man thinketh, so is he. So let's keep a positive frame of mind. Things are not always the way we want them. There will be challenges. There are challenges, and that would always be. It comes in different shape and forms, and at different times in our lives. But I just want to urge everyone to be strong, whether you are fighting the pandemic or some other illness or a relative of yours that might be extremely sick, or there may be a death in the family. Whatever it is that is making you a bit sad or is causing you not to want to appreciate life as well as you should, let's just understand that those things do happen and will continue to happen. So, shake it off your shoulders and let's continue to move forward, understanding that we do not have the ability to change everything around us or to move or prevent sometimes. But what we can simply do by our actions is minimize the negative effects that some of those circumstances can have. So keep your smile on, be bright, understand that it's still tough going. It's a tough day, maybe a tough week, but we're heading towards the end of the month. And maybe something between now and the end of the week may happen for you to cause you to make your smiles even brighter and bigger. But I know Miss Duncan probably did have a good one. She looks not her usual self. She's sometimes a little more bright and sprightly in a way, but she has a nice smile. So I trust that her weekend was good.
It was productive.
Very good.
Productive, and that's good enough for me. Of course, we do want to share some information coming out of NADMA with the general public as it relates to a weather condition that we are currently experiencing. According to the weather bulletin issued Sunday, a plume of Saharan dust is expected to travel across the southeastern Caribbean over the next few days. Though the advisory forecast minimal impact, it's highlighted that conditions can change over time and that 24-hour exposure can lead to moderate health condition. The Ministry of Health has encouraged the 3 vulnerable groups of people: children, the elderly, and those with respiratory and heart disease, to have their medications at hand. For people with asthma, ensure they have both preventer and reliever medications. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health and medical doctor Dr. Francis Martin, has advised that the preventer medication be used before the dust arrives. If in need of further intervention, also use the reliever. The ministry also issues a warning to people living with skin conditions who may be susceptible to this condition to also be prepared. Other precautionary measures that can be taken are avoid outdoor activity. If you must go outside, spend as little time outside as possible. Cover your nose and mouth with a mask or a damp cloth to reduce exposure to the dust particles. Avoid vigorous exercise, especially if you have asthma, diabetes, or a breathing-related condition. Stay indoors, stay in air-conditioned premises or vehicles. Asthmatic people or those who have respiratory conditions can develop the following symptoms: shortness of breath, coughing, wheezing, and chest pain. Other atmospheric impacts expected are discomfort when touching objects and increased disposition to dust on vehicles and other items. It's quite lengthy, but in essence, it's just preparing us for what is already here. Because if you look outside, it's a bit hazy. You know, it looks a bit.
But did they give a date? As you say, what's already here?
Well, they
I
said
can't remember.
Sunday.
Sunday. Okay.
Yeah. Let me see. Let me go right back in. All right. So it said it's expected to affect the state of Grenada in the coming days, and the bulletin was issued on Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have to expect some conditions.
Well, you know, as I've just said, there'll always be challenges, and none of them are insurmountable. All of the challenges that we are faced with, or the challenges that are laid before us, there are solutions how to deal with them directly or indirectly, you know. And so when we get a handle on one issue or one position or one challenge, let's not tell ourselves that we are the conqueror, because you know, there are always new challenges that will spring up, and the Sahara dust coming over our country, and we're being warned by the PS, and also he's a medical doctor of the Ministry of Health, to be prepared, and the actions that should be taken, especially for people who have respiratory concerns or issues or illnesses. I think it's a good one, and I hope that people will take the warning seriously and will take the necessary precautions, so at the end of it all, you do not have bigger problems or greater problems than people already have at this moment.
Absolutely. And this morning we're on the topic of COVID-19, obviously, with the vaccination process now going on. I believe it is this week, and I do have the press release here from the Ministry of Health. Is it Health? Yes, it is Health. The Ministry of Health advising that there will be mass vaccination of frontline workers. Well, they say next week, but that was last week, so this week, right? And those frontline personnel include law enforcement officers, so policemen and women, customs and immigration, port and dock workers, airport workers, hotel employees, and certified taxi operators. They are all encouraged to get vaccinated, and this service will be provided. They would receive their vaccination at the Radisson Beachfront Convention Center, right? And that would be between the hours of 9 and 2 o'clock from Monday, the 22nd of February, to Friday, the 26th of February. And interested workers must present a valid company photo ID or an official ID inclusive of the NIS driver's license or their passport. Access to the COVID-19 vaccination station will only be allowed from the left side of the building closest to the parking lot. So that's the entrance by Wall Street.
Okay.
And the Ministry of Health advises that all COVID-19 health and safety protocols must be observed for the duration of the process. The national vaccination process will be conducted on a first come, first serve basis. So that is for all frontline workers. And I did hear the minister say something last week that I concur with fully. We all have our opinions, myths, and so on about what we feel the vaccine would do and can do. If you want to take the vaccine, it is a personal choice, Mr. Bola. It is a pure personal choice. At the end of the day, if you decide you're not taking the vaccine and I decide I'm taking the vaccine, I am protecting me. I'm not protecting you.
Well, you're protecting you in some instances,
Well,
and to a
myself.
certain extent. When I say you're protecting yourself, but as a result of you being protected, you're also protecting me, because the chances of you transmitting the virus to me becomes much less.
I really want people to understand, Mr. Bola, that when you get vaccinated, you're not doing anybody a favor. You're doing yourself
Absolutely.
a favor.
Definitely.
Because the vaccine is basically meant to protect you from getting any diseases that can come from COVID-19. We've had children all around the world who have gotten diseases such as kwashiorkor. You know, they've gotten MIS, multiple inflammatory syndrome.
Kwashiorkor is something that I haven't heard about for many
years. Yes, we've had
I
children.
think it existed in Africa.
In Africa,
years ago.
People who have heart disease and diabetes and asthma and respiratory illnesses, and people who develop pneumonia, chronic pneumonia as a result of COVID-19. Taking the vaccine just lessens your chances of developing these kind of adverse diseases or conditions as a result of contracting the virus. And I think that's what people really need to understand when it comes to taking vaccinations. We've been taking vaccinations for as long as we can remember. You know,
Even before we could remember. Because some babies start getting vaccination since they're delivered at the hospital.
Yeah, and I would like to ask the anti-vaxxers, those out there who think that this is some conspiracy to control the world. When they were giving malaria vaccines or chicken pox or mumps, was that also a conspiracy to control the world? You know, we've survived through, and we have not had massive outbreaks of these things as a result of the vaccinations that we've taken as children. So, you know, it is a personal choice, and I keep telling people that. You know, there are people out there who say, me, I don't take no vaccine. I don't want no vaccine. And you ask them why, they can't give you a good reason why, but they're not taking it. But you can't vex with them, you know,
Yeah.
because it is their personal choice at the end of the day.
You see, sometimes I look at where we are in the world now, and we see we are in the information age, you know, and that's so good. It makes it so much easier for people to be in the know, to have a greater understanding, a deeper learning into what was once seen as complex issues and so.
Yeah.
The digital age has brought into our hands all sorts of gadgets. So whereas before you had to rely on on a messenger to bring you a message, or on some person in society to speak something that we believe is the truth, like a principal, a priest, or a preacher, and thing. The information age has brought it, and the digital age has brought information to our fingertips. But that has done two things. It has made some smart people smarter, or clever people even more clever, because they've used that information to their benefit. They have allowed the the reach of information that is so readily available to develop personal skills and sometimes even business skills.
Yeah.
There are others who are not so academically inclined that is a bit puzzled by the information. And the same information given to them, they use it and view it in a different way. And so that is part of the reason why we have so much conflict. So there are some people who got some information on the virus as well as the vaccine. They continue to read, they continue to research, they educate themselves, they get to know about it better, they follow up its movement and what's happening. And there are others who get information, a lot of conspiracy theories, people saying their own thing, and they just follow those as gospel, and continue to do it. So the information age has brought some smarts and some of us not so smart because before we had all that information at our fingertips, people just took the vaccines for tetanus and polio and all of those things, malaria, measles, and mumps.
I want to give a quick, Mr. Bola, as you say that, the amount of vaccines that we have already taken as human beings from the time that we were born to maybe now. And the coronavirus is not included in this. But we have cervical cancer for the women, cholera, hepatitis B, influenza, measles, meningitis, mumps, pneumonia, polio, rabies, rotavirus, rubella, tetanus, typhoid, yellow fever, and the list goes on. So these are a lot of
vaccines that has been there for many years.
That we've
and
taken.
People, I remember taking vaccine for yellow fever some years ago. I was in government and I was traveling. I wonder if it was Mexico or one of those Central American countries, and it was mandatory that you have to get that vaccine before you would be allowed in the country. And I had to get a vaccine for yellow fever.
Even students of the St. George's University, students that live here, they have to be vaccinated as well when they go down to SGU. You know, there are certain vaccines that they have to take. Also, when you're traveling to the US or to whatever other country outside of Grenada, there are certain vaccines that you have to take, especially if it's for educational purposes.
I remember as a custom officer when I was selected to go to Canada for some studies, a couple of months. Rigaud is where we went in Ontario, in Canada, at the Customs College there. I had to get a vaccine or some injection, I think, for the protection of hepatitis B. I think it was. You know, that was many, many, many years ago. But I still remember, you know, having to go get those vaccines. So vaccination and vaccines have been around for almost as long as man has been around, I believe. A little less, because it took time for man to develop those vaccines, or probably the kind of treatments that before vaccine was known to be what they are now. Maybe we used or the people of that era, that age, the Stone Age, and so used a lot of local herbs and so, and that contain the same sort of potent substances that would fight various illnesses. And as the knowledge and the power of using the brain increased, they were able to put them into medicinal form and store them and deliver them to us as vaccines. So I keep asking the question, what is the difference of those vaccines that have been there for many, many years and people have been, it has been administered to populations the world over? What is so different with them and the one that we have now for COVID-19? And quite a few people responded, those who are the naysayers responded by saying, boy, is the time in which they take them the vaccine. You know, they find it was too quick, they entrust that it's done right and what have you. And as one friend says, in the 60s, 50s and 60s, many Grenadians left here to go to England. But they traveled by the boat. It was what we call the banana boat. That's how we used to refer to it, the geese lines that came to Grenada fortnightly, I believe, to pick up green bananas and did the islands up or down, however they collected, and go back to England. And many of those in that era who are the returnees now, having aged that are now on pension, are the ones who traveled to England via those boats. It took them many a weeks, months sometimes, to get from the point of embarkment to the point of disembarkment, from where they took the vessel to where they want to come off the vessel. Today, in a matter of hours, you can leave the same destination, Grenada, I think 5 or 6 hours, flying, and get to same London, right? So you don't take your weeks, you don't take your days, but hours.
Yeah.
And why? Because there's been improvement. There have been new discoveries. We have seen the airplane, and when the airplane just came out, you had the, I think what they call prop engines or whatever. Now you have sonic jets,
but
that move with the speed of light, or faster than. So I'm just saying all of that to come to the point that because of improvement in technology, knowledge of men have increased, and a lot of the equipments that they used or you are using now have also improved greatly. And of course, when it comes to things like making vaccine, you already have the principle at hand. So I think it's about finding what is the variant for the particular virus also that you're dealing with, and to get the thing going. So I am not worried about the time it took. Never at all. So to me,
neither am I. It's not a valid argument, because we could also argue that in times before, we used to use letters that would take days, sometimes weeks, to get to another party.
From one part to
now I can send you an email right now, and in a matter of seconds you receive the same message that I would before have to wait weeks for you to get.
But it has gone beyond just sending an email. I can pick up my device, my phone or my tablet, whichever, and then I can actually do a video conference, a video call. I can be seen and I can see you, and we can have that conversation for 2 or 3 minutes, and I can tell you exactly the same things that I would have put in a letter and put it into an envelope and put it as stamp and go to the post office and drop it there, deliver it there, and then they sort them out and wait on an airplane to bring it to England or Canada or wherever you're sending it, and it takes another couple of days to get to the post in that district where you are, and for the person, man or woman, to drop it off to you. So you're so correct. So what we can now do instantly, in a matter of seconds or minutes, used to take us many days before to transmit information from one place to the next.
But let's look at medicine, for example, because people would say, okay, well, that's technology you're talking about. But of course, technology in medicine is what really allowed them to fast track the virus, or to create, and even resources, accessibility to resources is greater now. So let's take, for example, somebody with lung cancer, for example. In time before, we all know, we've seen movies, we've heard stories. Somebody has a cancer of the lungs, or somebody suspected to have an issue with the lungs. They would have to do what you call exploratory surgery to figure it out. Now you can simply do an MRI, a CT scan, or an X-ray that would allow them to see inside there, to see
without putting a knife on you.
Exactly. So if they have to go in, they know exactly where they're going and what they're cutting and what they're taking out. You can now do a biopsy. I mean, things are so much more advanced now. So the argument of it being too early or too quick is really not a good. We should actually be grateful and happy that our scientists are now equipped to do these things so quickly, because guess what? If something else were to happen, something worse were to happen, something that required them to move at a faster pace, we would like to hope that they can adapt to that as well. So we have to be very cautious in what we are putting into the universe. We have to be careful what we are. If you do not agree and you don't want to take the virus, that is your right. Nobody is forcing you. And I heard the minister say this morning on Perspectives. He said we're not going to force the population. It is not something that you force the population to do. At the end of the day, it is a personal decision. It is you making a decision. But what I would hope is that when easement starts to begin, because the whole purpose of vaccination is so that we can return to a semi-normal life again, where people can start moving more freely, because we don't have to worry about, Lord, if 10,000 people catch COVID, the possibilities that 1,000 out of that 10,000 or 9,000 out of that 10,000 is going to get some serious ailment and not just die, but also put financial pressure on themselves, and also pressure on the healthcare system of the country in which they reside. And even if it's not in the country which they reside, they would have to go to some other country to seek medical assistance and put pressure on that healthcare system as well. So we have to take these things into consideration. Yes, it is a personal choice. You have a right to do it, but do it based on informed decisions. Speak to your healthcare practitioner. Mr. James that has drink rum by the shop is not he is not qualified to tell you if you should take the vaccine or not.
He's not qualified for you. But he has people who he can have an audience with and who would believe him.
Yeah, but that is crazy. Why would you? It's like me going to a baker and tell them, look, I have tonsillitis. What should I do? You know, the baker knows how to bake bread. He don't know how to tell me how to fix my tonsillitis.
You might be making a great mistake, a grave mistake too. You might be surprised that the baker can cure your tonsillitis for you. But the bottom line here is it is a personal choice, I do agree. But I also believe that the way in which the world is moving, it may soon become mandatory, not from the standpoint that individual governments, like the government of Grenada, may pass a law to say you must take it, and not from that instance. But I believe countries, sooner than later, may require you to have taken the COVID vaccine before you may be given the opportunity to enter their territory. Yes, just like so many other illnesses. When you're moving from one country to the next, they would want you to take that vaccine. I believe we're going to get to that stage or that point with the COVID vaccine as well. So it won't be now the government of Grenada saying, we put a law in place, you must go for the vaccine or else. No, it may be because you want to get to some other place for various reasons. Yeah, it could just be for leisure, vacation and leisure. It could be for health concerns. It could be because you want to better your financial intake. Whatever reason, I believe we will get to that point somewhere down the line where it will be a requirement for when you have to move from one state to the next.
And there are people that may look at that and say to us that, okay, well, if that is the case, I ain't going no way. But you just never know what life is going to throw at you. You never know, you might have to pick up and go somewhere. You don't want something as trivial as taking a vaccination to keep you from something even more important in your life. So we have to be careful in what we do. And we have a caller on the line, and we'll begin taking calls from now. Hello, good morning.
Morning. It's Duncan. How you doing?
Hi, good morning. How are you? We're good.
I'm good. And Mr. Bola.
Morning.
Mr. Bola, let me say this,
Yes.
Already, it is a requirement for some of the cruise ships. They have already made it mandatory that workers must take the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, it's a pity that in this part of the world, we either too busy to read, too lazy to read, don't read, and prefer people read for us and interpret for us.
Okay.
Kevin Frederick speaking.
I
Yes,
know,
we
we
know.
know, and I think most of the Grenadian public know that voice by now.
Right. Yesterday, I was in my column,
Yes.
right? I wrote about that same thing. And I use two popular phrases. One is a biblical verse that speaks about, for the lack of knowledge, where
Yes.
it will perish. And the other is Bob Marley's famous rat race. Where
Right.
he said, in the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty.
Is thirsty.
And let me put this Bob Marley one into living context.
Yeah.
About 2 years ago, the American ship came here. And I keep using that analogy over and over. We were hearing about they coming and chanting on people and all kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
There was an abundant supply of medical services that was offered free of charge. So that's the abundance of water. Eh?
Yes.
We so much need it. We so much thirsty. We refuse. A lot of the people who went and capitalized on the free services in the early stage of the process, they can afford to jump a plane in the morning. They have insurance, because I met some of them personally and I interviewed them. And believe it or not, and Minister, anybody could tell you that, yeah? On the last few days, when the mission was about to wrap up, the lines were long, reaching all by the Green Bridge. People were coughing. People were calling the ministry and begging, can you all ask them to stay 2 more weeks, please? This is what is happening here now, and it is, I'm going to say no to. The calls that we are getting for vaccines, right, is, coming from people that you would not believe. People who can afford. I have seen people, and I know of people, who are calling. As a matter of fact, we have people like from PAHO, yes, the UN and so on, Mission 4 down here, who got their vaccines down here.
Yeah.
Yes. I have seen private doctors who came into the hospital last week to take their vaccine. Private doctors, eh?
Yes.
And there was an article in the BBC this weekend where 2 young ladies in the United States, they posed as elderly citizens to capitalize on getting their vaccines.
I've heard about that. They try to dress up as the
I
old
shared
age
it
people.
because it was really, really, really funny, but yet interesting and serious. And Grenadians, we are only going to be getting a certain amount of vaccine for now. Yes? Already, we are vaccinating people this morning. Our numbers already crossed 300.
Wow.
Yes? Now, some people may say, well, 300 is a small number. But I dare you, do it 300 for every 100,000 per capita.
Yeah.
And it's a significant amount.
Yes.
So those who want to stay on defense and play the wait and see game, I welcome you to do so. That is your call. But at the end of the day, do not go around saying the ministry this, the ministry that. They give who they want, and they shall give party supporters and only NMP hogs again, because that is what they are going to come and say when the vaccines run out. And it is going to run out very, very soon. Because we are in Carriacou this week, we are in Radisson for the whole week. We started this morning at 9 and we'll be going right up to 2 o'clock until Friday of this week. We are in Carriacou, we are in Guave, we are in Soteres, we are in Grenville, and I am saying to you again, we have a number of private requests. Yes. But we have decided to satisfy first our frontline workers, our essential workers, our over 65s and so on.
Good.
But the bandwagon is mainly around, in those, I would say, middle-aged and, young people, because they have allowed the anti-vaccine movement to, infiltrate their minds, and so they don't think. As a matter of fact, finally, I was baffled when I heard a Catholic priest making such, foolish statements, garbage. I mean, and for a priest, yes, who has such a large following,
Yeah.
to willfully do that, it is embarrassing.
Yes.
So he was actually telling people they shouldn't take the vaccine.
Well, not he was actually. He did. That's what he said.
Wow.
Because that is what he insinuated. And I can't. And after that sermon, yeah, I heard elders coming out of the church, whispering and saying, but what Father said is true. You know? And let me tell you, Mr. Bola, I also wrote that in my column. Eh?
Yeah.
If we had a situation as what happened in Jamaica or in Spain or Italy and so on, government would have been in a better place economically, because I'll tell you why. The elderly population, they would have been wiped out.
Yes.
So that would have been a savings for government. And the pews in the churches would have been fewer.
Yeah.
Because it's the over 65s and the elderly people who lost their lives as a result of COVID. When I say that, I mean the majority of them then.
Right.
So we ought to stop let people think for us. We ought to read, understand.
Absolutely.
Know what is false, know what is true. I mean, you're talking about, a Catholic priest doing that. And then the ironic thing about it is that an Anglican priest, Father Mark,
yes,
he took the vaccine.
Very early. He prayed for it.
Now, what does that tell you?
Yeah.
Is it that what? The Catholics know something that the Anglicans don't know? Rubbish. It is so, I'm telling you, it is total rubbish. And I had the opportunity of discussing that in my CAFA group recently. Yeah. And we are all baffled that when people like that, who are leaders, because he is leading sheep, yeah?
Yes.
So I say no more on that.
But before you run, I have two questions that I would like to place to you. I hope you have the time. Are you there?
Right. Yes.
Yes.
Sir.
One, you mentioned in your deliberations that we have only a certain amount and it may run out soon. So I am of the understanding that we got a 1,000, then a 5,000. But I thought sometime before I heard the Minister for Health mention that after those two batches, somewhere probably March or probably a little later, I can't recall exactly when, there should be a batch of about 30,000. Can you clear that up for us?
Yes. Now, that is from, what Minister would have spoken about is from the COVAX facility, yes?
Mm-hmm.
So we got a total of 6,000 vials. 6,000 vials translate into 3,000 doses because
Right.
you have two shots.
Two shots, yes, that's what I understand, yes.
So that is what we are working with for now, and that's why we have made it a priority to vaccinate first our frontline workers and so on. Because bear in mind, if our frontline workers come down with COVID-19, because we have a very small healthcare workforce, yes, it can affect our delivery of services, patient care, diagnostic services. All of those things can be severely affected. So the recommendation and strategy is that you first vaccinate your frontline workers, because they are the ones who will have to keep the engine running.
Great.
This is the engine room.
Yes.
Yeah. And what is going to be happening is that around the middle to the latter part of March, we are expecting somewhere in the vicinity of 45,600 thereabout vials again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, we are expecting that, and we are very confident, that we will be in a better position to vaccinate quite a large percentage of our population. And mostly to Mr. Bola, we have produced a frequently asked question fact sheet.
Yes.
Yeah. Surrounding AstraZeneca, and what are the common, uncommon, and very common side effects?
Right.
Yes. And so far, it is making the rounds nicely, and as I said again, people just need to, log on to the Ministry of Health page, for example, get the information you need. Now, we cannot fabricate information because we can be taken for that.
Yes.
And we are using AstraZeneca, which is a registered trademark. Should we publish something that is false?
Yeah.
Well, we might be paying them back for quite a very long time.
Well, until the end of time, probably.
Exactly.
Yes.
This is also one of the reasons why I am saying here again, that our citizens, the onus is on you as well, to make that decision. Do not let anyone make that decision for you. Go to the Ministry of Health page, read the information, you would see what's going on. Now, we publish photos and information every day. I do that every single day. Yeah. And it's different things. And I heard you speaking about returning to normalcy. That is true. Yes. And you mentioned the yellow fever. Yes, it is true. Now, if you need to go to any one of the South American countries, as you rightly stated, Colombia, San Salvador, El Salvador, any one of those, Guatemala, even in Trinidad, Mr. Bola.
Yes.
You are required to take the yellow fever vaccine 10 days before travel because that's when it is going to work in your system.
Right.
Now, the cost of the yellow fever vaccine, I remember some time ago, was about $300 and something each. And you had to buy it in the pharmacy and then come over in the ministry or go to one of the
doctor.
Yes.
And
let them administer
it to you. That is so true.
Some doctors were charging as much as $100 to administer it for you.
Yes.
Now, I do not know if that might be the case with the COVID vaccine, but we just never know because I guess at one point in time, the yellow fever vaccine was free.
Yes.
So it's just the way things happen.
Good.
So, it's better late than never, I would say. But
2 or 3 questions again. Listen, somebody just on the live asking, are the vaccines free? I guess they just want to hear you say, yes, it is free.
Yes, the vaccines absolutely free.
Good.
And you could also contact your health district, yeah? Right? And inquire about it if it is going to be made available, and if you need to register and so on.
Okay.
So, it is totally free. Totally free.
Also, Mr. Bola, before you come with the next question, I just want us to touch this quickly because I've done some research and I've spoken to my general practitioner and also my daughter's pediatrician because of her underlying conditions. I thought it was important for her to get vaccinated. However, I was informed that it's not available for persons under the age of 18 as yet.
For now, based on our manual, it is 16 years and upwards. That's from our manual. That's what we know.
Right.
Yeah, so again, I would say to you, Ms. Duncan, contact the Ministry of Health. Check out our Facebook page. You will get some information there. I am going to be publishing some more information later today. We have brochures that persons can just get a soft copy if they wish. It is on our Facebook page. Download it. The information is there. Everything is there about AstraZeneca vaccine and what we are doing.
Yeah.
Good. Let me ask you quickly, what is the response like from the frontline workers? Because I know the push, and not just in Grenada, in most countries they're trying to do it. I know, for example, in the U.S., the new president has said he would like by the end of his first 100 days in office to see at least 100 million Americans receive the vaccine. And as things are going now, I think they're doing 1 million plus on a daily basis.
1.7.
So most likely he will achieve and surpass that mandate. But locally, coming back home, this week and maybe since last week, you're trying to work with frontline workers. So that would be our medical people. Whether you are an ambulance driver, a orderly, a nurse, a doctor, I say police officers, customs, immigration, port workers and things like that, we consider as frontline people. What is the response? How are they taking it? Do we have a lot of doubters among them in a general sense? What is the feel you're getting from them?
Yes, Mr. Bola. Honestly, we still have some doubters, right? And we have been, clearing up some of the misconceptions, right?
Yes.
Yeah. We are also we had on Friday an information sharing session, yes, with our frontline workers. We did a presentation with them, shared it with them, and but from what I have seen, a number of them did take the vaccine at the hospital when we were there last week.
Yes.
Bear in mind also that this week we are still working with frontline workers, because as we speak, Mr. Bola, we are down at Radisson.
Yes.
And so frontline workers, not just health workers, but we have, for example, we had a number of persons from SGU who work in the lab and so on, right? We had some frontline workers from SAMS.
Okay.
Yeah. Now we are looking at immigration, police. A number of police officers also took this already.
Great.
And customs, airport workers as well.
Yes.
Airport workers are
prisons.
Well, yes. So law enforcement.
Yes.
Yeah?
In general.
And then we look to now at our hotel, because remember, the front desk or security officer or the bellboy is on the front line at the hotel.
Good.
Yeah. So that's why we have rolled out that way. So they are frontline, yes, and they are essential. So people like garbage and so on, they would be essential.
Good.
And they are we also cater for them.
Right.
So it's a phased approach as to how we rolled out. And let me say that finally again. Now, it was designed that way because we had to take into consideration, what if there was a major spike in COVID, and we start seeing a number of hospitalizations, and the frontline workers who are caring for them were to come down with the disease likewise. Yeah. It means that our frontline workers would be grounded, our services would be grounded, the patients would be at extreme risk of dying. So we had to now strategize and say, okay, it's like when your neighbor house on fire, wet yours.
Wet yours, I understand. Yeah. That is so true. Two last things. People like what I will consider the bus drivers. While they are private sector people, but they interact almost daily with large numbers, moving people from one place to the next. Bus drivers, conductors. How will we treat with people like them?
Yeah, no. So now, because again of the incessant need for the services, they are in the essential services bracket.
Right.
However, we intend to open up. If by the end of this week, next week, we still have remaining on hand, we are going to open up to everybody. But bear in mind, certified taxi operators, meaning that the ones who did the training and work from the airport in transporting people who would have just came in and so on.
Right, yes.
They too are considered frontline.
Frontline.
So they are also encouraged to go to Radisson anytime this week, for the vaccine. But of course, it's while stocks last.
Kevin, while you're on that, let's also take into consideration those bus drivers who may not be certified taxi operators who transport medical practitioners, nurses, doctors, and so on.
Well, I guess they would
staff. They do staff.
Yes.
So are they also considered?
They are catered for.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm saying this here. Yes. No. Mm-hmm. How is that going to happen? So let's take, for example, in some districts, right? Yeah, you may have like, say for example, hotels, right? Now you have transport that would maybe carry them. Yeah. The district nurse can arrange for them. even at the hospitals. Yeah. So now, whereby they are not, let us say frontline workers, but they are essential to the operations of the hospital, because if they do not carry staff, staff can't work. The hospital shuts down.
Yes.
So they are catered for in that bracket. Again, all they need to do is come forward.
Right.
Because we are not going out there and say, you must come and take this, or else to lose your contract. We're not doing that.
But it's possible it can come down to that at the end of the day. If they are deemed to be a risk in the present circumstances because they have not come forward for the vaccine, it may come down to the fact where you have to say to some people, because you are in an essential service, because you are critical to the care that needs to be taken, you have to take that vaccine. And if you don't, we may have to let you go.
Well, I would, my response to that will be, we will have to see how the dice roll later on.
I like that you're becoming a true politician. I like the way you answer questions.
Diplomatic answer.
You're very, very, very diplomatic with your answers. But I believe as time goes by, it will be ruled out, because I also think people like teachers and, well, almost everyone, because if you have the people who work in the court system, and so that interacts with people regularly on a day-to-day basis, all of us must fit into the realm of ensuring that we get the vaccine, so that as we interact, we don't either contract it ourselves, or if we get it, pass it on to other people. So essential, necessary. Last thing, because we keep saying last one.
No, before last, make sure you...
A lot of the people who you mention that, like the garbage collectors, these kind of people, have there been a means of contact with them from the ministry in terms of saying to their bosses, or saying to them via a letter, a telephone call or something, look, we consider your services to be essential and vital for the normal operations of things, so you are listed as part of the essential service, so you must make sure that you come forward, not demanding, but making sure that they know that they can come forward. All of the essential people, have there been a means of contact with them via the ministry or from the ministry?
For what I know, for example, Mr. Bola, the garbage collectors, they are not directly under the ministry. So the ministry don't interact with them.
Right.
The ministry would interact with the solid waste management.
Right, okay.
Who will then communicate with them. So
good.
That's our line of communication.
Wonderful.
And I know that's how we normally communicate. So I would imagine that our CMO and so on would have already done that. Even to put systems in place for that. As a matter of fact, Mr. Boda, let me say this. Sometimes people get the impression that that we are not going to reach out to people. That's false. In fact, we try our very best, and do it the proper way first, going through the proper channels. And when that fails, right, we then, I would say, break protocol.
Okay.
So, because we always try and go to, okay, so let me give you a classic example. If we are going to go to Parliament, yes, and say to vaccinate parliamentarians, we would then go to the parliamentary office.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the clerk will be the one. Yes.
Right. The clerk will then, inform the members of parliament of both houses that this is available.
Yes.
Now,
and they did,
Right. But I'm saying that because what I don't want to happen is for skeptics out there to think, okay, well, we only vaccinating people in government. And why I said the clerk don't speak only to people in government.
Yes.
They speak to everybody in parliament.
In the house,
whether you are appointed or you were elected.
Yes.
So I wanted to plug in that day because I know how people like to twist things.
Yeah.
That's why I said the clerk they will do what they have to do, and the ministry will then kit. I know ministers have been reaching persons, individually and encouraging them. He is doing that likewise. He is on the ground, So I know that is happening. So it is available. And no, we are not just doing parliamentarians.
Okay.
We intend to do everybody.
Right.
But it is on your own free will.
Right. And last question, and that it ties into what Mr. Bowler was asking. For the individuals who are essential to the essential services, so as we discussed, those who may transport them and so on, if they have to reach out, as you said, they can reach the district nurse or whatever, but what means would they have to go through, or what would you advise them to do at this point?
Okay. So if it is, for example, let us say, it's a bus driver who transports hospital staff, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And he was off for 2 days, but he had a relief driver, which sometimes happens. And he was not aware. Then, he can contact the hospital, because if he's driving for hospital, and ask Dr. McIntosh, or ask, Dr. Donald, what's happening, and, if I am required to, they will then send that information over to us. Yes, we may decide, okay, we'll send over a vial to the hospital, because here what happens, in one vial, you have 10, sometimes I think it's about between 12 and 10 shots. Yes?
10 before.
Right. So what you would not want to happen is that for you to just use one vial and one bus driver, and then the rest has to be discarded.
Yeah.
Right.
So once it's open and not used, you have to discard the remainder.
You must discard it. Yes.
Yeah.
So
And that's a waste.
there must be 10 people available per vial.
That's correct.
Okay.
Good.
That's
Good.
correct. So that's why a phone call can help. Yeah.
Okay.
So it gives the nurse, a better idea as to, well, okay, from that area there, I have about 7. But I think it had about 2 elders in my church who was telling me about getting it. So
Right.
the nurse can contact that person and say, oh,
Right.
my uncle does farm, so let me contact him. So then you get 7 and 3 is 10.
Good.
Okay.
We're getting a light of it.
Yeah.
In my personal case, I was told I have not received yet. Well, I have not gone to get mine yet. I was planning the hospital last week, but sometimes it's so difficult to get a pack, and that was my problem. So what we thought, just like you're saying, we decided, because there are 7, I think, of us here presently where we operate, and we thought about 3 other people we can bring together and ask whether or not they will come to us with the vial and do us at the office. We thought about that, but we didn't make the request yet.
You still with us, Kevin?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. So what we'll do is we will reach out, I guess, and find out, because we thought about the 10 and we heard that.
Yes.
And we thought, but I guess after the frontline workers and so on have been vaccinated, then
because it might be easier for one of us here with a transport to pick up the nurse from the hospital or wherever they are and get them here. 10 of us get our vaccine and we drop them back.
Yeah.
And then we had a fight to go by the hospital, and we have space to park and all those kind of things. So would that be a possibility later down the line?
Yes, of course. I mean, I always believe in working smart and not hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That makes 2 of us.
If you could meet us halfway,
Yes.
that is working smart in my book.
Of course,
Good.
of course,
Good.
of course.
Good.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much for taking the time to call. We always appreciate your calls, always filled with so much information. But feel free to keep us updated and to give us a call anytime you have more information to share.
Thank you. Actually, I'm in the field there, and I was listening. I am not in my office.
Okay. Well,
I just decided, to just call, to really give support and, in some cases, clarity to what you discussing because it is very, very, very important at this stage.
And we really appreciate that because we did not have anything with you this morning, and we thought, this is your vaccine and vaccination. Let's see what we can put out on it because, as you said, there are the skeptics, there are those who are spreading fear. Let's just try to delay some of it, and you just called in the right time and gave some great clarity, and I hope those who are listening would have now a much better understanding of what's taking place. Thank you again, Kevin.
No problem. Maybe what we could do on Thursday. Okay, so from here, what I would think that me and you should do, we're going to have a little vaccine corner.
Okay.
So like starting this Thursday. So every Thursday, I will we're going to link up for like what 5-10 minutes and talk about where we at and what's going on, and try and help clear up all of the issues and things.
That would be great.
Very well. Very well. Great, man.
Problem.
All right. Well, you enjoy the remainder of your day, and thank you so much once again.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, good. All right.
All right. Look at that. Timely and informative.
Very, very timely, very informative, and we really hope that for people who have been having doubts, and it doesn't mean that all your questions was answered, but I think you are the better off now with what has been said. And
Hopefully.
we getting another call.
We are.
Yeah.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. Can I speak to Mr. Pitt, please?
I'm sorry. You're calling Hard Talk Grenada live, and you're live on the radio.
Oh, sorry, my dear.
That's okay. And we have another call coming in on the overseas line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Duncan.
Hi, good morning. How
morning.
are you?
Good. I got to change Mr. Bowler's title and Teacher Bowler. I want to say, I want to say thank you.
You are a little muffled. I don't know why we're not getting your absolute clear the connection.
There isn't a clear connection.
Yeah, this connection has given trouble at times. So I don't know if it's a phone or if it's a service.
But you sound much better now.
I want to thank you to the government. The sitting of the Senate on the 16th, I think it was.
Yes.
And I want to say thank you to the government because I was really touched and moved by the setting, the agenda.
Yes.
It brought tears to my eyes, not following the Prime Minister, but it was really touching. And I want to say thanks very much to all.
We are happy that we could have done that. We would have preferred if he was around still, but there are some things in life that we don't have control over. So those we can control, we try to do it and do it as best as possible.
But the main thing, that we got a home to go to. So this world is not a home. So some go earlier than some, so we all got to take that road. So So I want to say thank you again and enjoy and stay safe.
You too, my brother. You too.
I'll be able to make it down sometime soon.
Yes. We love that to welcome you. Okay. Oh, great.
Right.
Now, be good. Nice.
And we have a call on the line.
Hi,
good morning.
Morning.
Duncan, how are everything?
Very well.
Mr. Bulla and Mr. Duncan, he had to go back where God said he made man to serve him and to serve in spirit and truth.
Mm-hmm.
But he said that we have a choice. A choice of whether to accept or whether not to accept. And I do believe it's somebody like with the virus, okay, like the vaccine. If you don't want to take it, you must not force your will upon people until you take it. Your choice is not to take it. Leave the choice for other people to make. Make your own choice. Make your own choice to take, whether to take or whether to do it. Because when you force people to do something they don't want to do, then they come back and they blame you. Right? So I do believe people should leave people to make the choice, whether to take the vaccine or whether not to take it.
Yeah.
Right? Whether to do that, nobody can come and blame you if anyhow they didn't take it or they take it.
Yeah.
When you go down on the platform and tell people, don't take it. And some the people who hear what you say and they do it, and then they catch it, they come and blame you. So I do believe let people make a choice of their own.
Mm-hmm.
People not children, let them make a choice. And even our children, we cannot make a choice for them. They have to make their own choice for themselves. This is salvation is a free gift. We cannot make a choice for our children to get saved. They have to do it. Right? So as adults, yes, you're leading, but then you have to know what to say to people. Alright? You want to send us to do it? Okay, go ahead and do take it. But don't try to implement what you want to do to others. Alright? So, Mr. Uncle and Mr. Buller, you all have a wonderful day. God bless you.
You as well.
You as well, my brother.
Yeah, and that's a valid point. You cannot force somebody to do anything, but also
Well, you should not.
Force anybody to do anything, but also your opinions. And we spoke about opinions a lot. We speak about it a lot. Some people think that their opinion of something is fact. We often don't know how to draw the line between an opinion, what your thought on something is, and what it actually is. And we have to be able to decipher. And that's why I said earlier that when you are getting your information on things as important as vaccinations and other health related things, it's important to go to the professionals. Go to your nurse, your district doctor, your general practitioner. Let them advise you. Oftentimes we go and we sit down in a crowd, and what the majority says in that crowd is what we leave with or what we think we should do. And that is in most cases not the best thing to do. It's not the best way to look at these things. So speak, and they're available. Doctors right now are very available. You pick up the phone, you call a doctor, and you say, "Doc, listen, I'm thinking about taking the vaccination, but I ain't too sure on what I want to do because I ain't feel like I have enough confidence or enough information. What can you tell me? How can you help me?" And let that be your guide, because that is the professional responsible for giving you the information. They've been dealing with these things for eons. They've studied these things. They've made a livelihood out of these things. These things are their lives, When you go and sit on by the shop with Mr. John, or they
why is it always by the shop? It could be under the
that
tree.
Is where, listen, that's where most conversation is happening now.
It could be under the tree.
A shop when them fellas playing domino, and you see he go home now and he telling his wife, he say, "Watch, Mary, I ain't fine taking a vaccine because I come by the shop there and them fellas say." That is how generally in our culture, that is how things spread like that, So don't use these kind of sources. Don't let Sister Ruth from the church call you and say, "Watch, girl, I hear." No. Speak to the people who are responsible for providing.
But if Sister Ruth here, she can always call you and tell you what she heard. It is then up to you
to make
to make an informed decision by talking to someone who you believe has the knowledge and the skill. But nothing is wrong if your sister or your brother in church or you hear something by the shop, because these areas and through these people sometimes you get valuable information as well. You can get distorted information. That is why, even if you hear it from us here on Hard Talk, we always say verify before you take it. As the villagers would say, lock, stock, and barrel.
Someone on the live is saying, "Good morning. I like the idea of Thursday link up because I would like to be vaccinated because of the work that I do." Another individual is asking, is it mandatory for frontline workers? And as Kevin said, at this point, it is not mandatory. Nobody's forcing anybody to do it. It's a personal choice. You have to protect you, but you also have to protect, and as you said, it does decrease the chances of you spreading it to somebody else as well, and someone was asking the other day, well, if that is the case, then what's the point of taking the vaccine? It is important because the person you spread it to might be someone whose immune system cannot handle it. You yourself might contract it and not know that you have some kind of underlying condition and then wonder, well, hey, how this thing affect me so bad and it's so healthy? You understand? You just don't know, and you don't want to play Russian roulette with your life. That is something that you never want to do. You don't leave these things to chance. If there is a means and a way and an avenue for you to do these things, then do it. I had a very important conversation with somebody the other day, and I was saying to them, they say, "Oh, well, God does heal and God is going to do this." And I said to them, let me tell you all something. Y'all expect God to just come down from heaven with a magic wand and just heal everybody. God provided us with the knowledge. That's why we have doctors and medical practitioners and teachers, so that he gives us the resources that we can use to help us heal. So not all the time you pray to God and God will say, look the cure there. Sometimes he puts that resource there for you to utilize. and you feel it's not the right resource for you, you making that decision for yourself.
So since when you become preacher to be an interpreter of what biblical pronouncements are? No, I'm just asking. I'm not saying you're wrong. Eh? I'm just asking is that where you get the skills from to be able to unfold.
You know, the Bible says when you read, ask God for wisdom.
Okay, so you have been doing that.
Yes, reading and asking God for wisdom. Let God give me the interpretation that I need. My interpretation and your interpretation might not be the same.
No, I wasn't saying they was the same. I just wanted to know how come you're able to interpret and unfold. I wanted to investigate into your knowing. And the critical
thinking skills that I learned from my teachers.
Okay.
Yes, to dissect and pull things apart and look at things critically. You know, that's something that we lack a lot of. People being able to pull things apart and sit and analyze it and, you know, put different stories together and see which one makes more deductive reasoning. That's it.
That's what it's called.
Deductive reasoning. Yeah. So, guys, the lines are open. The number to call is 440-7377 if you're calling locally. If you are in the diaspora and you want to give us a call, the number to call is 347-329-3101. We're also taking calls via WhatsApp at 440-7377. You can also send your messages via WhatsApp, or you can send them on the live and join us in the conversation about vaccination. What do you know? How much do you know about the vaccine that you are about to take? What are your concerns?
Or you should take. I don't like the word you're about to take, because there are a lot of people who
I am about to take it.
Yeah, some of us are about to take it. But I think we should tell people the vaccine that we should take.
And also, Kevil did mention that the Ministry of Health on their Facebook page, I did see it. I also saw it circulating a little bit on WhatsApp as well. But what I would, and I should have let him know, maybe I'll send him a message after, that maybe they should dissect. It's a very good I've seen it, I've read it. It's very good, very informative. The only thing is the print is very small. And when you zoom in and you maximize it, you miss part of the information at the bottom. So maybe they should dissect it and put it on different slides. And I mean, it's a very informative piece. Tells you about the AstraZeneca, what it has done, what it is doing, you know, how it works, what the side effects, possible side effects are, you know, and as with everything that you take, there will be side effects, or there may be side effects.
Maybe.
Some people don't get side effects at all. Yeah. Some people get, you know, a little wooziness, a little fatigue, you know, this kind of thing. But it's you can go to the Facebook page of the Ministry of Health and they will have it there. We will try to share it as well on our page so that our viewership can go ahead and read that as well. We have a caller on the WhatsApp. Hello, good morning.
Morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, you're live on Hard Talk.
All right. Good morning, Mr. Duncan. Good morning, Senator Buller.
Morning, sir.
All right. Yeah. I just have a question concerning the vaccine. When shall the vaccine? Well, I think the doctor said it as yet, but when will the vaccine be available for the public, like in general, per se?
Oh. Okay. Well, from what Kevin just said, we just had an interview with someone from the Ministry of Health, and towards sometime within March or by the end of March, hopefully, they will be having the third dose, which should be in excess of which should be in excess of 40,000 in that batch, and I believe by then. But he also said at the moment they're working with frontline workers, meaning medical personnel, police officers, immigration, customs, the people who interact on a daily basis with people moving in and out of the country. And by next week, based on how that goes and what they have left from the present stocks, they may reach out to the public with that. If not, we'd have to wait by probably the end of March month. Hopefully, they should have.
I want to be there as soon as possible. I'm not listening to here. I read up on it.
Yes.
You know, because I want to know if Grenada has more than one CMO. Like I read the host who's a CMO that's saying vaccine won't be here this year. You go here next year and we ain't get no vaccine.
Yes.
I want to know if you have a other finance minister besides Mr. Bowen, when a man saying, oh, the government have money they could pay. I want to know if you have a different prime minister in Grenada, when a man saying, well, why close down the country open? We are no COVID here. I mean, come on. These people and them that follow these kind of people reminds me of the people that follow Tucker Carlson on Fox News.
Yes.
Who just come there and just give wrong news willingly, blatantly, and they were basking that. And it's like, I'm wondering why. What other for our health, our safety, our positive, our country? You want about St. Vincent, you want about St. Lucia. We want what we serve.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to sound selfish, but that is what it is. It is what it is.
Yes.
What it is.
So you send people send the doctor's line. Mr. Martin, people have integrity, you send people line? I mean, conspiracy theories when you work in countries where there are big conspiracies.
Yes.
Well, Mr. Bola, you have a good day.
Well, you be good too, and we'll keep you informed. I know you listen all the time, so as soon as the stocks are in and they're ready, and most likely, from what I gleaned from Kevin, is that they may go into different health centers when so everybody doesn't have to go to the hospital or go to one spot. You know, the major centers, like you have a good center in South, you have Gambra up in St. Andrews, you have the St. Patrick's Medical Center. I think has they opened up the Gov Medical
I don't think it's open as yet.
No, but it was nearing finish towards the end of last year, but I don't think it was open. I was just thinking the other day, was that opened or not?
No, it wasn't open as yet.
So I presume that, a place like that, they would, as soon as they open up, we'll be doing. I think we have another call coming in,
Oh, yes, we do. Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Miss Duncan, or do I say Honorable Miss Duncan and Honorable Miss
No, just Miss Duncan.
Good morning to you, sir.
Well, Mr. Bulla, indeed, I think you are very honorable.
Yes.
Because you have left a position of higher value and status to one where you are right now. So I think you are honorable.
Well, if you say that, I don't argue those things. Very few things in life I argue, but I accept that in a very humble way. Thank you, sir.
Well, yes, I know people of honor. We call politicians all over the world honorable. But the people that are real honorable is people like you, Mr. Bola.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, I call people like you so honorable.
All right.
Most politicians throughout the world,
you're
not honorable, but we call them honorable. I don't know why.
Well, maybe it's just the title, like, Mr. or Miss or something like that.
So, at the same time, do you remember me?
I don't make the voice out as yet. I am not doubting that I know who I'm speaking with, but I haven't captured the voice. Maybe we haven't spoken in a long time.
Mr. Bola, actually, I was in Grenada about 3 or 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I met you somewhere. Is it Grandin? He was there with the opposition leader from Anguilla.
Oh, okay.
And I saw you at the restaurant. Wasn't it? I think it was Radisson.
Yes, Radisson, yes.
Yes, Mr. Bola. So, how things? I remember I took a photo. I said I would send one for you.
Well, I am good, from a personal standpoint. From a country standpoint, we are doing okay, but COVID has had its effect. Things are not where we wanted to be at this time in terms of our revenue collection and what. In terms of the handling, I think we can be proud of what we have done, the way we have taken care of the persons who have contracted the virus, and at the moment we do not have any active case. We had only one death related to COVID, and we have started vaccination in Grenada. So in a general sense, I believe we are heading in the right direction.
Okay, I think actually mainly so, because I think Grenada is a resilient people.
Yes,
people are strong, they are healthy, mind, mentally, physically, spiritually. I think it's just because you have an extra tenacity about you.
Maybe. Maybe.
Well, that makes all the difference,
Yes, it does. When you have a strong mindset and you are destined to achieve the goals that you set yourself, challenges would always come, but you will always find ways to overcome them.
Oh, that's wonderful of you. Actually, I was wondering, when I was speaking to you, right?
Yes.
Yes, many years back, I was wondering, well, why would you step down from politics and go and do something which seems to be a bit less significant? I was wondering, I said, this gentleman must be real honorable. You have to be.
Well, I tell you something, my friend. I consider that I can still make a contribution and I can help people, and we can do a lot of good things, even if I'm not in frontline politics. And I continue to support my party, which is the New National Party. I do as much as I can, but I believe there were other things that I had to do, and it was going to create, well, not so much a conflict, but in terms of my time, I had to divide myself into many smaller pieces, and I don't believe it was going to do justice to the people who would vote for me to have me represent them in the parliament, and they're not getting my full attention, because one of the things was that my wife was extremely sick. She had to do surgery, both heart and lung surgery. She's extremely fine now, doing well, thank God. Thank God, as my host was saying, for the people who have had the knowledge and the skills to do what they do and to nurse her back to good health. And so I thought it may be better at the time, and I still believe that was the correct decision, to allow someone else who had more time to concentrate on the people's work to do that. I wanted to spend more time with my wife and take care of that deal. She's better now, so I have more time now to lend my support and assistance to those who are in the front line. So I am not missing anything, and I still believe I'm making a contribution.
Well, many people would have thought that politicians would have more time with their family than with the normal worker, with the ordinary working people.
Not so.
I would have think so.
Not
and
true.
tell you what.
Not true at all. Not true at all. A politician's time is very demanding, especially if you want to reach out to people and their needs. And sometimes the demands are really, really high. Not just for you to hand out things to them, but just for your presence. A lot of people, they want to feel, they want to know you're there. They want you to meet them where they are dealing with their circumstances. It's one thing for someone to come to an office and see you and explain to you what's happening, but they feel a whole lot of difference, and they see you differently when you can come to the point, meet them in their home, meet them, in the community, meet them in the place where they are having the problem. They see things different, they see you different, and so it takes a lot out of you as a consummate politician who is concerned about people and their well-being.
Well, actually, if all the other people were thinking like you, there would have been few people in politics today right now.
Well, maybe you're correct with that. Maybe you're correct with that, my brother.
Well, I know it's true. Like they say, like there is more loyalty among crooks than businessmen.
Okay.
That is across the board, eh?
Yes. I hear you. Well, it is what it is, my brother. But we're there. We're surviving. We're trying to get by, and we're taking it one day at a time.
Well, I thank you, because it's about actually what I'm thinking. You are a human face for the NMP.
Well, thank you for that.
You are a human face to the NMP party. I think you are one of the human face to the NMP party.
Thank you for that.
And I really wish you all the best.
I wish you the same.
As well. You have been doing a very wonderful job.
Thank you.
I'm very proud of you. I look at you every day. Sometimes I look at the TV right now. I see you talking right now, right?
Yes.
Yes. Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Where are you calling from? Which country?
I'm calling from London.
From London.
Okay.
Great. Yeah, I see you very clearly, clear as daylight.
Yes. That is so nice.
You did a wonderful job for the country.
Thank you very much. We
try
appreciate
our
it.
best.
And it's like, I'm in the diaspora. You call me diaspora, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Well, when we talk, we say for those out in the diaspora, meaning all of our people, wherever you are, whether London, the US, Canada, Spain, Japan, we reach out to all our people. We are happy when you can call us from over there, and we are also happy when you can point out to us some of our shortcomings, because we are not perfect, but we're trying our best.
Okay. But Mr. Buller, one thing that touched my heart, right?
Yes.
Is that there was a gentleman. He was a farmer on TV, and I saw that someone cut down all his crops. He didn't take a bunch of banana. They want to destroy all the man.
Sometimes they do that.
food
Sometimes
was
people
matured.
do that. It's just heartless in the way we can, do cruel things to each other. I know we human beings, we have our little ups and downs. We have our little misgivings with one another. But I don't think we should take it to the extreme where we have to destroy the livelihood of another person. I don't believe God likes that at all. And he's not going to look kindly to those of us who try to create a situation where we take bread out of people's mouth.
Yeah.
Mr. Buller, tell you what, I would like to help this gentleman because he was very humble about it.
Okay.
I like his approach. His approach was humble. He said, I do not have the money to go and buy elsewhere, but I will plant again.
Great.
And he was so noble and humble that he touched my heart. He struck my heart, right?
Yes.
The nucleus of my heart. And I said, well, I would like the gentleman, if possible, his phone number, or his name, and I can send him something,
right,
to help him to help him towards
to move back into a good. Well, I don't know the individual because I have not seen the exact script, but we can inquire for you, make some inquiries, and once we get some kind of a contacts. The next time you call us, or maybe we can just say it out. Yes, and you can get it so you can make contact with the person. We'd have to ask. I presume it's on GBN. The story was shared. Yes.
Okay, but at the same time, I'm happy. I think Grenada is doing well.
Yes.
Look at Kimpton, Kawana Bay. I look at different projects in Grenada.
Yes.
And I think y'all is doing so well.
Thank you for that. And you should be proud as a Grenadian out there. We always want to make all our people feel proud and do the best for Grenada.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Yes.
So here, Mr. Bola, you'll find next time I call, we'll able to give me the gentleman.
Yes, once we get it, we will be able to pass it on to you.
Because Mr. Bola, tell you what, I think it is beyond criminal, what the gentleman did to this guy.
Yes.
Beyond criminal.
Yes.
He didn't take a bunch of banana, He cut them all the man feels.
Yes.
And he's terrible. They say worse than an enemy. He's someone who betrays you,
Yes.
Yeah.
A person who betrays you is worse than your enemy.
Yeah. Very true.
So it's terrible. It's terrible.
Right. So we'll gather the information, and once we have it, we do have your number, so we'll give you a call and share that information with you.
Okay, Miss Duncan, keep up the good work, both of you.
Thank you again.
Thank you, and you have a wonderful day.
I will do.
Okay, great.
Honorable Mr. Bola.
Thank you, and thanks for calling, and we'll hear you again sometime soon, we hope.
Yeah.
Okay, definitely.
Wonderful.
All right.
Yep, nice. Bye-bye.
Yeah. All right. So, guys, we're running down on time. We'll be able to take a few more calls. But we just want to appeal to the general public as the conversation today surrounds vaccination. The general practitioners, I'm sure most of them, if not all, are very open to conversations surrounding the vaccinations. We all at some point want to get back to some sense of normalcy where we are able to move more freely, that we don't have all of these restrictions on travel or on what we do, the wearing of masks maybe even, we want to get back to a place where we can move more freely as soon as is possible, where we can revive a lot of our sectors, where the world economy can start bouncing back because people are able to move and people are able to spend and people are able to work and people are able to, get a means of employment. So we want all of these things to happen. And if that is to be done through vaccination, then why are we complaining? Why are we complaining? We've been asking for it. We've been crying for it. We want to be free. We don't want to be tied down. We don't want to, be locked up in our houses. Quarantine is hell. We've been asking for it. A means of getting by it has been provided. What we need is proper education so that ignorance does not cause us to make bad decisions that would be detrimental to ourselves. Not just the country, but to ourselves as well. Because it would not be a nice thing for you to go around telling people, oh, don't get vaccinated. Vaccinations is for XYZ. Because remember, the vaccination doesn't kill the coronavirus. It will still be there. It will still be circulating like a common cold or like the flu that we get every season. The only thing is that we will not be adversely affected, and that the chances of it spreading from person to person would be much more diminished as a result of the vaccination. So it wouldn't be a nice thing for you to be an anti-vaxxer, and at the end of the day, you wait until you get the virus and you have some adverse condition, maybe chronic pneumonia or something like that, to say, if I had known. That is never a good phrase, if I had known. You know what your chances are at this point. You know what options you have available. If you are not confident about the vaccine, if you feel like you need more information, then go ahead and do so. But it's not a nice thing to say, oh God, I'm waiting. I want to see what I go do to Jane and Mary down the road. And you wait, Jane and Mary get their vaccine and they're good, and then the following week you pick up corona and you're sick. You know, it's not a good situation. And there can be many analogies that we can give you. At the end of the day, the onus is on you to find the proper information and educate yourself.
You see, you ask a question in the process of your statement. Mm-hmm. We don't want to be under lockdown, what have you. Why would we tell people not to take the vaccine? And that why, I think we have discussed many times. When people say certain things or do certain things, take certain actions, we always have to ask the why, because sometimes it defines or defies logics. We think all the information is available, it's out there. People that we tend to believe are sensible, academically astute individuals, but they go ahead and make statements and put things out there that appears to come across as people who have no sense of understanding of
no common sense.
Well,
because
maybe that too.
All sense is not common.
It's not common one. Yeah. So sometimes they have other motives. They have ulterior motives. Sometimes these are people that are trying to achieve something other than the safety of the people.
Yeah.
They are not so interested in you. Not that they don't want you to be safe, but that is not the priority at the moment. The priority is to destroy an individual or an organization, or to make things look bad. The more people that get sick and come down with the virus, the more they will be able to blame the government. And the bottom line is we want to get rid of the government. So the why. There are a lot of other reasons why people do or say certain things.
Yep.
And those of us who have the smarts to understand that, we need to expose that so that the ordinary person who have not been thinking along those lines will get the picture.
Yeah.
Will get the picture. As a gentleman, a caller earlier on said, there were people who were bragging and boasting that who is Grenada, nobody's bothering with Grenada.
Yep.
If we're lucky, we may see vaccine by 2022.
Mm-hmm.
We in 2021, very early in 2021 too. We don't just talking about it now, but we actualizing it. People are actually receiving. Over 300 people in Grenada actually receive their first dose of vaccination already.
Yep.
Yeah? So the point is, why do people say certain things? Because it suits their motive. Yeah. It suits their case. Mm-hmm. It creates doubts in the minds of people. Tension, confusion. Mm-hmm. And that's what they want. Because they will strive better. They will do better. They will be able to achieve their goals much easier when there is strife and confusion, when there is disbelief, when people are haywire all over the place trying to find their footing. So they help to create an unsettled and an unbalanced platform for you to stand on, so that you would always be shifting, and that will work for them. So don't always take it lock, stock, and barrel when certain people, wherever they are, however educated they may be, say certain things. And sometimes we tend to say, well, what happened to him? He crazy? Why would he say this? Why would he say that? He's not crazy. She's not crazy. They say it with a particular intent.
Yeah,
they say it to get a particular reaction.
Absolutely.
Right? And when they get that, we satisfy what they're looking for.
Absolutely.
So we just need to be careful. We need to have a sane mind. We need to check and recheck and think for ourselves. Do the fact check. Do the verification. And understand sometimes that people do not always do or say things because it is the correct thing to say or the correct thing to do. But it is more for what they can achieve and how it will fulfill not sometimes the need, but the desire that they have more than anything else.
All right. Well, guys, we have come to the end of our program for today. I don't think there's any more words we can add to what we've been saying. It's up to you. The onus is on you. It's a personal decision. You do what you need to do to protect your life and the life of the people that matter most to you. All right? So, as we say here every day, in whatever you do and whatever you say, be safe and be secure. We always want to be talking with you, but we don't ever want to be talking about you. So please do enjoy the remainder of your day and stay tuned for the National Report. It's been great, guys.
Government and Teachers Union hold conciliation talks with Labour Commissioner. We'll have details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Friday, February 19th, 2021, I am Rakisha St. Louis. Representatives of a government's negotiating team and the Grenada Union of Teachers have agreed to jointly review government's fiscal position at the end of March to determine its ability to pay the 4% salary increase, which is due for 2021. Agreement on this was reached Friday when the two sides held what has been described as amicable talks in the presence of the Labour Commissioner. The current collective bargaining agreement between government and the unions representing public officers provides for a 4% salary increase in 2021. Government acknowledges this contractual obligation, but it has requested a deferral in the payment of the increase given the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the country's revenue earnings. The unions have not agreed with the request. Government is unable to say definitively when it will be in a position to pay, but it has offered to keep the unions fully abreast of the country's fiscal position. Friday's agreement with the GUT to review at the end of the first quarter is a welcomed one. The two parties have agreed to return to the Labour Commissioner for the joint review in March. Government assures public officers of its willingness to honor the increases as soon as fiscal position permits. The $1.6 million Happy Hill Bypass Road project is nearing completion. The project, which is executed under the 9th cycle of the Basic Needs Trust Fund, entails construction of 1,355 feet of reinforced concrete pavement, box and slipper drains, along with retaining walls. When completed, the bypass road will link two existing roads with the overall objective of creating adequate access to residents. Construction supervisor of the project is Angelo Gilbert of Gilbert and Partners Engineering Company. He provided a progress report on the work done so far.
The project started in February of last year. The project consists of 1,160 feet of concrete roads, along with driveways and stairs for the residents. Over the course of the projects, we've been doing the box drains, retaining walls, and of course the concrete pavement.
More than 19 people, including women, are employed on the project. The construction team has faced its share of challenges. Notwithstanding this, the project is expected to be completed by the end of March.
We poured 170 feet of concrete pavement. We intend to pour again next week, another probably 200 feet. The retaining walls constructed out of hollow concrete blocks, but they are filled with, each hole is filled with concrete and a half-inch steel.
The Happy Hill Bypass Road project is funded in part by the Caribbean Development Bank and the government of Grenada. Continuing the news, the Ministry of Infrastructure Development, Public Utilities, Transport and Implementation says construction of Building 3 of the St. George's Market is progressing well. The ministry says the key deliverables so far are upgrading of the drainage system and completion of the foundation of Building 3. Work on the steel structure is ongoing and is being implemented by Bobby's Ironworks. The steel is being welded on site based on the specifications of the drawings provided by the Technical Department of the Ministry of Infrastructure Development. The final phase of the project will be the construction of the vending tables and installation of electrical fittings and lighting. The project commenced in November 2020 and is expected to be completed by March 2021. This is the National Report. The news will continue after the break.
Hey, are you gonna wear your mask today? You see everywhere you go, there are rules you got to follow, so don't you say COVID-19 will delay. Take the opportunity to save your community. Don't be that guy, put a mask on your face if you're heading outside. It's your life, my life, more lives will be taken if we don't try. If you feel any symptoms, call the hotline. Stay inside until you feel fine. 6 feet away every day. Keep COVID-19 far from away. Keep Grenada safe. Be COVID-19 smart.
Welcome back. The National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA, is preparing for the International Carib Wave Regional Tsunami Exercise, which takes place on March 11th. Carib is an annual exercise which caters for tsunami preparedness and awareness in the Caribbean and adjacent regions and is organized by the Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission. The National Disaster Management Agency's Public Relations Officer, Oslin Crosby, spoke on Grenada's focal areas and scenario for the 2021 event.
So we'll be working with a scenario presented to us from the tsunami office out there in Puerto Rico that deals with the lesser entities. It's an 8.5 magnitude earthquake that is expected to affect some in the lesser Antilles, creating a tsunami that is expected to affect us. Right? So that's the scenario we're using for the exercise. The exercise will be held on March 11th. So March 11th, we're not too far away from now, on the western side. So we'll be doing St. Mark, St. John, Grand Mall area, taking us right down to the National Stadium. And that was our plan for last year. What will we be doing then? So that area, those areas, the fact that they are home, for example, Gulf, the fishing mecca, we know that the Western Corridor do a lot of the fishing in the island, yes? So keeping that in mind, it means that what we would normally do in ensuring that we can mobilize and have participants for the exercise, we will have to go ahead and do again. The fact, though, that we would have done most of the groundwork last year as we were preparing just before we started going into that serious COVID period when we had to shut down, the exercise did not happen. So the groundwork was done last year, but now what it means that we have to do is re-engage our stakeholders. So that is what we are in the process now of doing.
The Disaster Management Agency assures that protocols will be adhered to. Ms. Crosby highlighted the importance of having the activity during these uncertain times.
Because of the circumstances, the evacuation aspect of the exercise will be scaled down. Because, of course, we normally target our schools to do the evacuation part of things. But we know that our students are not at school every day, where we have the general population inside, when we would have full participation from our schools in the different areas to evacuate so that we can test the plan within these areas. So the circumstance will downsize the practical part of the exercise. In so doing, though, we still have to maintain the protocols. We must enforce them. So the question begs, how do you keep people away from each other in this pandemic if there is a tsunami and you have to evacuate? It means, therefore, that the same rules that apply now in that of using our mask, social distancing, that as much as possible, we have to exercise it. And I think that is one of the things that make this exercise even more critical.
The Windward Islands Volcanoes, whose home base is in Grenada, is recording commendable performances in the regional Super 50 cricket competition now underway in Antigua. The team, which includes 5 Grenadians, had an exceptional game against the Jamaica Scorpions this week, winning by 92 runs. During that game, Grenadian Ryan John picked up 2 wickets, Preston McSween 1 wicket, and Andre Fletcher with a great performance with the bat and ball.
They are based in Grenada, that is our home team, to see that they progress and the victory in the 2 games out of the 3 games that they had played so far. We want to tell the coach, keep up the good work, the players, keep up the good work. I know from the Ministry of Sports, the whole government of Grenada, the Ministry of Sports or Minister, we congratulate the team and ask them to continue the good work, and let's win the tournament. We saw Fletcher come in and get the final 2 wickets. We look at. We also know that he have 4 wins, Vincentian on the team too, and they perform very well. So we want to congratulate them. We show that we want to invite other teams to make it a home. I think it shows that being in Grenada and the way we had managed the pandemic and allow them to perform within and to train within that control area, he had shown in the performance. And if you listen to the commentators and you look at the level of fielding and batting and the whole level of discipline on the team, you could see they are well coached. So I want to congratulate to the coach and keep up the good works. We know there are 2 other games, shorter games, but we're expecting great things from them.
That story just ended the national report for today, Friday, February 19th, recapping the top story. Government and Teachers Union hold conciliation talks with Labour Commissioner. On behalf of the entire news and production team, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.